quite a lot of people are reasonably familiar with Marwari coming from Jodhpur, so I'll try and use a mix of Hindi, English and Marwari. तो वो कहीं करीब 10,000 रुपए डुबो दिया. तो मेरे जैसा टाई लगाए हुए एडवाइजर उसको बोलेगा इंग्लिश में, no sir, but you see the market has also gone down in the same period. Nifty has gone down from 10,000 to 8,500. That's a 15% fall, whereas your portfolio has gone only 10% down. So we have outperformed. तो हम उसको क्या बोलेंगे, तू आ बैठ. मैंने जिस दिन तेरे को 1 लाख रुपया दिया था उसी दिन मैंने 1 लाख रुपए रिलायंस में लगाए थे.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we record it?
मैंने बढ़िया किया कि तूने बढ़िया किया? ऑब्वियसली उसके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है. पर हम उसको जो नहीं बता रहे हैं वो ये नहीं बता रहे हैं कि हमने उसी दिन 1 लाख रुपया यस बैंक में भी डाला था. ये नाम मैं खाली एग्जांपल के लिए ले रहा हूँ, ये इन्वेस्टमेंट रिकमेंडेशंस नहीं है. 1 लाख रुपया यस बैंक में भी डाला था और वो 90% टूट गया, 500 रुपए का 50 रुपए रह गया. तो हमारा जो 2 लाख रुपए का इन्वेस्टमेंट था, रिलायंस का 1 लाख 1.5 लाख हो गया और इसका 1,10,000 रह गया. तो टोटल 1,60,000, 2 लाख का, उस पर 20% नुकसान हो गया. तो अब हम क्या कहें उसको? तो हमको उसको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है कि यस बैंक में हमारा नुकसान हुआ, उसको हम पहले रिलायंस ही बताएं. बट जब तक हम हमारे पोर्टफोलियो का एक्चुअल एनालिसिस नहीं करेंगे, हम ये समझ नहीं पाएंगे कि हम इतनी मेहनत जो कर रहे हैं, दिन भर लगे हुए हैं, ट्रेडिंग भी कर रहे हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट भी कर रहे हैं, टिप्स भी ले रहे हैं, उस पर हम पैसा कमा रहे हैं कि. एंड बीइंग इंजीनियर्स, आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ अस नो दैट अनलेस वी नो आवर पाथ, अनलेस वी नो द गोल, we will not be able to reach here, and we will have to keep evaluating. All those studies of CPM, PERT and project appraisals and project studies, they clearly tell, and of course the basic concept, any new innovation that we do, unless it is cost effective, it doesn't help. So I think that is one basic thing that we have to keep in mind, that we have to calculate the return on our portfolio, the yield on our portfolio, the IRR, whatever we call it. हमने कितना पैसा इक्विटी मार्केट में लगाया हुआ है और उस पे हम पिछले 3 महीने, 6 महीने या साल भर में कितना पैसा कमा पाए. अगर वो रिटर्न बैंक फिक्स डिपॉजिट्स या कोई भी डेट इन्वेस्टमेंट या जो भी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हम बेंचमार्क करना चाहें उससे ज्यादा आ रहा है, तभी रिस्क इन्वेस्टिंग करने का फायदा है, तभी इक्विटी इन्वेस्टिंग करने का फायदा है. अगर इतनी सब मेहनत करके नेट ऑफ लॉसेस, एंड नॉट ओनली नेट ऑफ लॉसेस, नेट ऑफ बुक लॉस, नॉट ओनली नेट ऑफ बुक लॉसेस, बुक मार्क टू मार्क लॉसेस, जो पोर्टफोलियो हमारे पास पड़ा है वो हमने क्या भाव पे खरीदा था और उसकी क्या मार्केट वैल्यू है, उसका जब तक हम, जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड का जो हमने 1 लाख से 90,000 का एग्जांपल लिया, दैट इज एवरीथिंग. Whatever investment we have made, whatever investment on our behalf has been made by mutual fund, whatever profit booked, loss booked, and as on that date, mark to market profit and mark to market loss. Same we have to do on our portfolio, and then only we will be able to know that are we doing the right thing or not. Okay, I have a question from Krishna Gupta, I think. So we will take questions later. But nonetheless, if you have a very quick question, you can unmute yourself and ask me.
Sorry, boss. That was for actually I was going for chat option, and that.
Okay, no problem. So again, I'm muting everybody. I think that we'll take the question. So that's an important point as a starting point, that we have to know where we are, what is the yield on our portfolio. And only then we will be able to move ahead in terms of doing better than that. If we clearly realize that no, we are either making loss or only 2 or 3 or 4% loss, then we need to rework on our investments. So that is one thing I very clearly wanted to highlight. In general, let me remind you, we don't do. And in fact, not only this, the next stage of this will be to calculate time of rate of return. So we have to look at what index level we withdrew from our portfolio, our saving, our other investments and earmark into it, and how much amount. And based on that, based on index level, what is the return. So that will be the next level. So that was one thing I wanted to very clearly highlight. Moving on, part 2. I'm keeping things simpler because we'll probably try to address them more in the Q&A session. Fundamental analysis, we in between had some discussion, which is where my practice has been all throughout. So as we all know that there are various ways to invest in the equity market. There's technical analysis, there's based on derivatives. So my practice has been more in fundamental analysis. And that is also, it's very difficult to teach fundamental analysis. I have muted everybody, so I'm not sure where this noise is coming from. Okay. Now the noise is not there. So I was saying it's very difficult to teach and very difficult to learn also fundamental analysis. But nonetheless, again, I'll very quickly highlight that how we move ahead is that we look at the top line growth, the sales growth of the company, and not only historic. All these refer to the future projections also, that next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what is the growth expected? And in current scenario, we know that the growths are going to be bad. But nonetheless, talking of the ordinary scenario, after top line, that should convert into the bottom line growth or the profit growth. So whether that is happening or not, along with sales growth, whether the profits are also going on, and that too at a decent profit margins. There are different profit margins: operating margin, EBITDA margin, PBT, VAT. All those have to be seen. So that is the next thing. Most important after that is the cash flow. So sales have been made, but the business is receiving cash or not. Today, if we look at the most of the discussion, that is the biggest issue, especially the SMEs are facing in our country, that they are short of cash. They are short of liquidity. They don't have money for working capital. Quite a lot of them have not received their payables from the government of India. Quite a lot of them have not received from their other customers whom they have given goods to. So that is another most important thing, that cash flow has to be there in the business. Cash flow will come from two things: one, tight working capital management, and two, from regular collection of the cash for the goods sold. In fact, this is one of the ways companies siphon off money also, that they keep showing goods sold and keep creating debtors. And one fine day they write it off. And that's one way to take out money from the company. I'm not able to go into the details of these, but that is very important to keep in mind while doing fundamental analysis. And ultimately, it should result in good return ratios. So return on capital and return on equity are two basic parameters that we calculate. Now, unless that return on capital from any business is higher than the prevalent rate of interest in the economy, let's say in our case of 5 or 6%, then it doesn't make putting money in that business or running that business, because we are not doing something called EVA, economic value added. What is the purpose of investing in a business? Is that we earn money. Not only earn money higher than what we can earn from any other sources. Now, what are those other sources? Very simply, we put in bank fixed deposits. Very simply, we put in government securities. Very simply, we put in some bonds, some corporate deposits, some NCDs. All those have become a hot potato nowadays, but we will come to that part of discussion also. But that is the basic thing that we can earn if I take today's interest rates around 5, 6, 7% by doing a risk-free investing in this. Now, if the business that I am running in, and this, let us link it to what I said earlier also, the yield for us to calculate on our equity investment. If the business is not generating returns higher than the prevailing interest rate, prevailing government securities rate, prevailing risk-free rate, and not adding that risk-free premium to it. So for a 5, 6, 7% economy, interest rate economy, any business should at least generate around 10% return from the capital invested in the business. If not, as I said, we are not getting the risk-free rate and not getting compensated for the risk that is being taken for investing in the business. Same applies to our equity portfolio. For a 6% kind of economy, let us add 4% risk premium for investing in the equity. If we are not able to generate 9, 10, 11% kind of rate from our portfolio over a period of time, then we are doing something wrong. We need to revisit our strategies. We need to revisit our investment calls. We need to revisit our trading, our investment portfolios. So that's the fundamental analysis leads to. We have a question: should we take inflation into account? Yes, we should. So there is always that real growth and nominal growth. Both these can be either calculated alongside or calculated separately. We should do that also. So that's very basic of the fundamental analysis. There is much more detail that goes into it. That's on the quantitative side. Of course, qualitative side, we will have to look into a lot of parameters like the corporate governance practices of the business owners, managements, the ethical practices, the past track record of minority shareholder friendliness, the dividend distribution, and all those other things. So that is where the fundamental analysis comes. Needless to mention that all those companies whom we call blue chip, whose market cap over the years keep growing, are generally the ones who pass through all these tests. And that is where there is this investment in blue chips or investments in mid and small cap, which are considered risky. So that was the second part. Let me move on a lot of questions have been there, and natural discussion is that what is the current market? What will happen from here onwards? And again, on our group and on so many other groups, we keep seeing the views. There are obviously, at any point of time, there can be only three views. Either the market will go up, or market will come down, or market will remain range. And we have seen time and again that it has always been very difficult to predict market, especially in the short term. In the medium to long term, the market always follows the fundamentals, the growth rates of economy as well as the growth rates of corporates. In any case, growth rates of corporates will remain linked to the growth rate of economy. So depending on the industry, whether it is in a growth phase, it will do 2 or 3 or 4 times growth rate of GDP. Some of the industries which are in mature phase will do 1.5 times of GDP growth rate. And those who are in the decline phase will do lesser than the growth rates of GDP. So that's where the growth rate is, and that's where the market follows the direction of its economic growth and corporate growth. But coming back, the challenge, especially for trading part, always remains that what to predict in the short term. So as I said, since we have seen that repeatedly it has been difficult, there is no point trying to apply mine on the market. Now, it's easier said than done. Am I doing my job if I'm saying that? No. So I will indeed give you my market view. But before that, let me address this point only, that since there is no clarity on the market view, what should be our strategy? That is more important. Now, let me address that. Our strategy should be that whatever equity exposure we have, let us segregate it into 2 parts. 1, trading part, and 2, investment part, long-term holdings. The percentage will depend on each of us, our risk profile, the total amount of money that we have invested. Over and above that, the total safety amount at the backup that we have for running our life if all of our equity money or risky asset money goes to zero. The kind of time that we can devote to equity, the kind of risk analysis, investments, research. So that is very important, that we segregate our portfolio very clearly into trading part and investment part. Now, trading part is something where we can keep taking the short-term equity. And as I said, since it is very difficult to go right on the short term, we will go one time right, one time wrong, again, second time right, second time wrong. But since we have the trading part, we don't get affected as much. Let's say roughly in the range of 20 to 30% of our total investments in equity, just ballpark number, as I said, it will depend on each of us, we can earmark for trading. And let that 70%, I am taking 30-70 ratio for the sake of discussion, let that 70% continue in the equity irrespective of the market ups and downs, because we will not be able to catch the market bottoms and market tops. And we might realize that if we have converted 100% of our equity portfolio into trading and sold out at one point of time, taking a view on the market, like what was happening in March, the market was falling one way, and at every point of time, it was looking sensible that had I sold yesterday, I would have benefited. But at the same time, let's keep in mind that when market turned around sharply from 23rd March to till about 30th March, none of us believed it. None of us could breathe it. None of us could take that call that even if we exited, we were able to reinvest. We kept thinking that no, things are bad, market will come down, which is what we are thinking now also. So segregating our portfolio into trading part and equity part, trading part and long-term investment part will save us from those risks. And now it is on that trading part that we can take a market. And now I come to my market view that yes, if we look at the fundamentals prevailing all around, we do have a lot of risks in the environment. The latest risk got added yesterday or day before by the slight bit of developments that happened in the fixed income market in terms of one of the funds closing down at 6 months. Let's see where those developments go. All the mutual fund industry has been working overnight and over the weekend to make sure that things don't go bad. But that's a new uncertainty that has got added. Along with that, we already have the uncertainty of COVID running around with us, which is very well known to us in domestic as well as in global markets. Before that, whole of the last week, the geopolitical issues of the oil have added uncertainty. So while we do keep talking that being an oil import dependent country, oil price fall is beneficial to us, it is not beneficial to us beyond a certain point. Why I am saying that is that I don't remember the numbers right now, but around 30-40% of our international trade, export largely and import is with the oil economic countries like Gulf countries. Now, because of the oil prices falling sharply, those economies don't do well. Our businesses with them will also. Also, let's keep in mind that quite a lot of our people work for these, and it is jobs for them, it is money for them, it is salaries, it is earnings for them. If those economies don't do well, those jobs will also not be there. Further, those people do remit money, lot of money to India, to their families, which get used in expenditure, consumption, investment, saving, and everything. So even that won't be there. So falling oil price beyond a certain level is not beneficial for India. A reasonable level, anything around $30, $35, $40, a range of $30 to $40, $45 is something which, and that too over and above that being stable is more beneficial. So that is another uncertainty that is there. We have already seen the result season having started. So again, we can continue to look at the result. We see that ICICI Prudential Life declared its results yesterday, and I think there was almost a 30% drop. At the same time, Alembic Pharma declared its result and it had a 30% growth. Again, I will come to my investment recommendations also, but these companies I am taking more for discussion. So result season is another uncertainty. So these are the various, and the fact that we have already risen 25% from the bottom. And let me also add to that, that had it not been for the Reliance outperformance in last 2 days, the current Nifty Friday closing of 9,200, 300 or so would possibly already be at 8,800 or whatever X level. So keeping these things in mind, as I said, at the risk of going wrong, by extremely knowing the fact over the last 25 years that very difficult to go right on the short-term view on the market, looks like we could see some correction in the market. Now, when I say that, let me now link it to the fact that we have earmarked 30% of our total investments to trading. Now, that is where the 30% of trading can be liquidated currently if it is not invested. If it is invested. If it is not invested, yes, very good. We have that 30% cash available to us. We can keep investing in phases as and when the market goes down. As per our expectation, let's say 5% at 8,800, another 5% at 8,600, another 5% at 8,500, and like that. And being a trading part of the portfolio, again, in between, if we get some rise in the market, from 8,400, it comes to 8,600, we can again liquidate 5 or 10%. So that is where, and if our market view goes wrong, never mind if, let's say, market runs up one way from here also to 10,000 Nifty for whatever reason, then our 70% money is invested for the medium to long term. That will protect us. Of course, there's another side to it that we are already saying market view is negative, it will come down. So we have 30% trading portfolio with us. But if we take a wrong call of doing 60-70% trading portfolio or 100% trading portfolio, if the market doesn't come down, or as I said in the March, it came down, but we were not able to catch it, and market goes up again, then we will find that we are not exposed to equity and the market has come away. So it's very important to segregate the trading part and the holding part, investment part of the portfolio, so that we can comfortably take a view on the market. Go wrong, go right, doesn't matter. We are protected and indirectly hedged on both the sides. Of course, how to trade in trading is where non-fundamental comes in. So that is where all these our WhatsApp group chats, not that I'm recommending those methods, the tips, the information, all those things we can use, the friends and family recommendations we can use to do the trading buys. And of course, technicals are something which do help us to take shorter term calls on the market and individual stocks, of course, long term calls also. Investing in derivatives, futures and options, again, should be ideally a part of the trading portfolio and not long term investment. So these are the various ways we can do the trade. Now, last week there was a very specific discussion on Yes Bank. And even if there wasn't a discussion, that's something that always comes to our mind, that how do we handle such situations. I will try to give you some answer. Those may not be the right answer because there are no right answers. There is a message that please suggest trading and investment stocks. I will do that. Otherwise, I'm sure this session's usefulness, utility, and interest won't be over. So again, at the risk of all of us knowing equity risk, I will do that. But I just want to clear some points. Maybe it might be sounding boring to some of you. It might be sounding very basic to some of you. But these are the things we have to keep realizing ourselves, because we forget in the day-to-day WhatsApp information flow. There is a question on what should be exit strategy coming on chat. I will answer that also. So that these are the things we have to keep realizing. It's like I'm not trying to be religious here, but आपण हनुमान चालीसा रोज पढ़ा. We know everything what is there in it. We know, remember it. But that is something we do every day. Like that, these basic concepts we have to keep making ourselves remember, realize every day so that we don't go wrong. Now coming back, there was a discussion on Yes Bank which will link to exit strategies and all those things. First of all, as I said, there is no right answer. Secondly, in some cases, whatever best we try to do, we will not be able to handle or control such kind of situation. Now, if that is the case, how do we do it? By doing a reasonable portfolio diversification. By keeping a limited weight to each of our stock, each of our company, howsoever bullish we be. हम कितने भी पॉजिटिव हो सकते हैं एक कंपनी पे, कितने भी तेजी में हो सकते हैं, तो भी लगा आपने कि नहीं देखो ये तो इस स्टॉक में तो आपका रॉन्ग जा ही नहीं सका, तो एकदम श्योर शॉट है, 100% है. नो. And we have seen the examples. So how will we protect ourselves? Let's say, for the sake of simplicity, for the investment part of our portfolio, 70%, we keep it exposed to, let's say, 10 stocks at 10% each, which means 7% in this case. Now, let's say the cases like Yes Bank happen and we are not able to do anything, we will only be suffering, which is not a which is a big loss. I'm not saying it's a small loss, but at least we have restricted it to 7% of our total portfolio by keeping restricted weight. Looking at the way the Yes Bank was moving in those yesteryears, it was very easy to get tempted and keep buying more and more, which I'm sure everybody of us did. And again, as I said, unless we don't realize, unless we don't analyze our portfolio, we don't calculate the yields, IRRs, we don't take the risk management, we don't calculate the weights, we will not be able to control that. Assuming because of that bullishness, we have taken 15% exposure to the Yes Bank. When the fall happened and because we could not do anything, the fall is 15% of our portfolio and not 7%. So that's one way to deal with it, as I said, is the risk diversification. Now, other things what we can do is not getting into the greed. Whenever these kind of negative developments happen, especially related to corporate governance, especially related to regulatory matters, especially related to lack of clarity of the future succession, which in this case was that who will be the management and all, it's better to exit lock, stock and barrel. Aankh band karna, bech khain karna saka. That is what we have to do. Of course, we can go wrong. As I said, the issues might get resolved in 2-3 days or 1 month. The classic example being Satyam. All those who bought Satyam, who were able to smartly buy Satyam at a lower level, made a lot of money. But let me also add the similar example of Kingfisher Airline. I know a lot of people who took a bet on 2, 3, 4 rupees, 5 rupees. A lot of people took a bet in Jet Airways 3, 4, 5, 6 rupees. Could those recover? So, as I said, risk diversification in the portfolio, limited weight to each stock, exiting lock, stock and barrel whenever negative developments. Also, there was a discussion last time that what derivatives are indicating on Yes Bank. In case of any such developments, derivatives and technicals will not remain dominant factor if there are some serious developments. Those serious developments will be dominant factor, so you will not be able to take a direction from the technical or derivative sides to such stocks. So that is something I think we have to do in case of stocks like Yes Bank. Otherwise, it will be difficult. I also addressed, which was a question from a lot of you, that how to handle portfolio diversification. It is very important that we do. Also, there is saying that can't throw good money after bad money. If we have made a mistake of investing in a stock which is coming down and we want to, because we feel it's good, keep in the know. Market is telling something. If a stock is continuously falling for some reason, then let's believe in the market. Market is the biggest part. Market knows all the information that none of us know. हम में से किसी को 2 चीज मालूम है, किसी को 3, किसी को 10, पर मार्केट को अगर 20 इंफॉर्मेशन है उस स्टॉक में तो सारी मालूम, 40 है तो 40 मालूम. तो अगर मार्केट कुछ बता रहा है तो मार्केट के अगेंस्ट जाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी चाहिए ऐसे केसेस में. So that's how we handle the cases like this. I've already talked about so just to take, there were questions from Vishamji Mehta of 1974 batch, Rahul Verma of 2008 batch on current market view and how to handle. As I said, that's my market view in the short term, but make sure that you have only trading part to take care of There was a very interesting question from Girish Lodaji of 1980 batch. Are we going to see financial emergency? To me, it doesn't look like. The situation won't be bad like the word emergency if we add to it. There is some kind of emergency already. And what I mean by that is that हमारी इकोनॉमी में पैसे की कमी नहीं, कमी है लेंडर और बॉरोवर के मैच। आज बैंक्स के पास इतना पैसा है, स्पेशली बड़े बैंक्स के पास, सरकारी और प्राइवेट सेक्टर, बट वो लोग लैंड नहीं करना चाहते क्योंकि उनको एनपीए की रिस्क है। और ठीक है, जिसका पैसा है ही हैज टू डिसाइड। एट द सेम टाइम a borrower, SME sector wants money, that who will take care of it. So a mismatch of borrower and lender is happening. पैसे की कमी नहीं है. Government is trying to solve this issue, RBI is trying to solve this issue, but to that extent there has been very limited outcome till now. So there won't be a situation of financial emergency, but yes, this mismatch of borrower lender will. There was a question from Rajneesh Dadichi, 2003 batch. Also, Kamaljeet, I was discussing that which sectors. Let's go. There is also a lot of questions here. What should we do about debt funds? I will come to that also with my limited knowledge. What are the sector views now? If we try to, and I think it's a no-brainer as laymen also and as day-to-day living people, we know that whenever the COVID goes away, first of all, already it is back to basics, roti, kapda और मकान. उसमें से भी कपड़ा और मकान पे तो अभी कोई नहीं देख रहा, हम सब रोटी पे ही देख रहे हैं. So that is where we are clearly seeing the food. And to add to that, hygiene products. And that is where we have already seen FMCG sector companies doing very well. In fact, quite a lot of companies, the good companies, are trading at a price higher than what they were trading before the COVID crisis. Quite a lot of companies are trading prices close to 52-week high even live. So that is one sector which is a no-brainer. Of course, the stock, वहाँ पे stock ढूंढना बहुत challenging है क्योंकि stock बढ़ गए हैं, valuation बढ़ गए हैं. मुझे लगता है उसके नेक्स्ट लेवल की रिकवरी आएगी लोअर एंड कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल्स, किचन अप्लायंसेस है. So this question here, so FMCG is already high. What do we do? I will tell you that. But just before that, addressing some sectors. As I said, the next level of recovery after food and hygiene will come in some of the durables, lower end durables to start with. So something like kitchen appliances, electrical appliances, मिक्सी, फैन, आयरन, प्रेशर कुकर, पैन, जहां आज की तारीख में हमको बाल भी कटाने हैं तो देयर इज नो हेयर ड्रेसर अवेलेबल. अनफॉर्चुनेटली आपको अंडर क्लोथ्स खरीदने हैं तो यू डोंट गेट इट. सो ऐसे ही किसी के घर में मिक्सी खराब हो गई है, किसी के घर में बेलन टूट गया है, चकला टूट गया है, तो ये सब चीजें भी अवेलेबल नहीं है. सो दैट इज वेयर द नेक्स्ट लेवल ऑफ डिमांड विल कम इन आफ्टर फूड एंड हाइजीन. Then that will be followed by slightly higher end like refrigerator, like washing machine, like air conditioners. That is where as a sector we will see that demand. And somewhere along with that, a latent demand of two-wheelers. जहां लोगों को जरूरत थी और वो खरीदना चाह रहे थे और सडनली कोविड हो गया, और जहां अब जरूरत हो रही है कि नहीं हमारा तो प्लान था, या अब हमको किसी दूध वाले को बिजनेस के लिए, किसी सब्जी वाले को, या इवन फॉर अस टू गो टू ऑफिस, वर्क फ्रॉम होम, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. So two-wheelers is somewhere that will come. After that will come in passenger vehicle, cars, four-wheelers and things like that. And much later, and we can't think of कब airlines की demand आएगी, कब hotels की, travel, leisure, holidays, very difficult to think of. So that is the order of sectors in which it should be preferred. Alongside, parallelly क्या होता रहेगा, banking sector में धीरे-धीरे activity बढ़ने लग जाएगी. Banking sector is something which we can't do away with. ठीक है, लैंडिंग थोड़ी रुक जाएगी, जो हम पर्सनल लोन लेते थे वो कम हो जाएंगे, पर दूसरी एक्टिविटीज तो शुरू हो जाएंगी. एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट शुरू हो जाएगा, बिजनेसेस शुरू हो जाएंगे, सैलरीज क्रेडिट आना शुरू हो जाएंगी, बिजनेसेस चलना शुरू हो जाएंगे. तो बैंकिंग सेक्टर इज समथिंग दैट विल डू वेल. अलोंग विद दैट, इंश्योरेंस इज अ सेक्टर व्हिच विल सी बैक कमिंग इन गुड demand. So these are the two sectors which should not be neglected. I'll come to individual stock recommendations also in this. But that is when it comes to. Of course, as a defensive sector, we have IT sector whose growth rates have come down, will come down, but to provide stability to portfolio always remains a good bet. And there is a pharma sector here again. We know that either partly the demand for those products have gone up, pharma products, and certainly the stock prices. So the challenge remains that if FMCG and pharma are seeing demand, what do we buy? I will come to that. So that's there it is. There was a very question from Sandeep of 1996 batch and few others also on the view on the gold. NPAs in banking sector, okay, I will come to that, but staying with the gold. Again, just like I am talking of diversification in the portfolio within equity, we have to have diversification as an asset class in our overall portfolio. Gold should be a part of our portfolio. Only thing is we need to keep in mind कि जो हमारा फैमिली गोल्ड चला आ रहा है, जो हमको इनहेरिटेंस में मिला है या जो हम लोगों के पास में है, उसको हम पोर्टफोलियो में गिन रहे हैं कि नहीं. अगर गिन रहे हैं तो हो सकता है वो ऑलरेडी 30-40% हमारे पोर्टफोलियो का हो, विच इज अ डिसेंट एक्सपोजर. इनफैक्ट विच इज एन ओवर एक्सपोजर, बिकॉज ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम गोल्ड ने उतना रिटर्न नहीं दिया है जितना इक्विटी ने दिया है. रिस्क दोनों में है. इक्विटी मार्केट डेली बेसिस पे हमको टीवी पे देखने को मिलता है तो हम घबरा जाते हैं. गोल्ड भी प्राइस है डेली बेसिस पे देखने को मिलता है, बट समहाउ हम घबराते नहीं. तो गोल्ड में एक्सपोजर होना चाहिए. गोल्ड ईटीएफ के थ्रू ले सकते हैं, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के सॉवरेन बॉन्ड्स के थ्रू ले सकते हैं अगर हम फिजिकल गोल्ड नहीं खरीदना चाहते. हो सकता है ये अनसर्टेनिटी चालू रहे तो जो गोल्ड पे व्यू है वो यहाँ से बढ़ता रहेगा. अभी डॉलर टर्म्स में 1720-25 के आसपास है. हो सकता है वो बढ़े, अकॉर्डिंगली रुपी टर्म्स में भी बढ़े. So that is a view on the gold, but while buying, keep in mind that the gold has already moved up very cheap. There was a very interesting question on when to sell, and that is a point that I already had it in mind. Just another question has come on: how much of the part of the portfolio should be gold? In my view, given the fact that over a period of time it doesn't do well, it doesn't even cover inflation, ऐसे uncertain time में suddenly return बढ़ जाता है. मुझे लगता है around 15% of overall portfolio should be our gold exposure. इसको आप अपने कंफर्ट से कम ज्यादा कर सकते हैं. जैसा मैंने कहा, इसमें वो गोल्ड गिने जो हमारा फैमिली गोल्ड हमारे पास ऑलरेडी है, और तभी आपका ओवरऑल पूरा पोर्टफोलियो वैल्यू कैलकुलेट होगा. अगर आप वो नहीं गिन रहे हैं तो थोड़ा डाइवर्सिफिकेशन आपको स्क्यूड हो जाएगा, क्योंकि हो सकता है फैमिली गोल्ड की वैल्यू ऑलरेडी 30-40% ऑफ हमारी टोटल इन्वेस्टमेंट पोर्टफोलियो. सो कमिंग बैक, व्हेन टू सेल, बलवंत नाथ 2007 बैच का बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन था. चक्रव्यूह में जाना अभिमन्यु को भी आता था. महाभारत बहुत पॉपुलर सीरियल था, बहुत पॉपुलर हमारी धर्म ग्रंथ भी है और अभी फिर से चल रहा है, पर चक्रव्यूह से निकलना उसको नहीं. और ये व्हेन टू सेल ऐसी ही चीज है कि खरीदने की रिकमेंडेशन मैं भी दूंगा, सब लोग भी देंगे, बाकी भी देंगे, बट निकले कब. तो ट्रेडिंग पार्ट ऑफ द पोर्टफोलियो तो बहुत ईजी है कि अगर हमारा 2%, 5%, 10% बन गया, निकल गया. बट इट कम्स टू इन्वेस्टमेंट पार्ट ऑफ. जनरली 3 या 4 तरीके बताए जाते हैं कि हम या तो हमारा टारगेटेड रिटर्न बन जाए. तो जब भी हम ट्रेडिंग में तो है ही है, इन्वेस्टमेंट पार्ट ऑफ द पोर्टफोलियो में भी खरीदने के टाइम हम ये रख सकते हैं एक टारगेट की 50% रिटर्न हमारा बन गया तब मैं बेच दूं. सो दैट इज वन वे व्हेन टू सेल. उस टाइम में फिर आपको दिमाग नहीं लगाना है कि मार्केट ऊपर चल रहा है, शेयर भी बहुत अच्छा है, यस बैंक है, इतना चल रहा है, चलता जाएगा. आपका 50% रिटर्न एक्सपेक्टेशन थी आप. दूसरा ये है कि आपको कोई दूसरा शेयर अच्छा लग रहा है, मान लो नए आईपीओ आए बहुत टाइम, तो आपके पास पैसे नहीं है तो आप एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर बेचो. सो दैट इज अनदर. तीसरा ये है कि सडनली उस शेयर की